Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with your girl Audrey Codner from ACG Math Tutoring. ACG Math Tutoring, get your math solutions today. So, yeah, I need sleep. Anyway, so as promised, okay, we are working on the second part of those sums and differences. Last time we did the sum and differences of cubes. This time we're going to do the sum and differences of, we did squares. We're going to do cubes this time. Now, cubes is usually not the most popular, but it is making a strong comeback, okay? So just like the slip dress that you see on Target's shelves, everything else from the 90s is definitely coming back, all right? So when we're looking at the sum and the difference of cubes, we have to keep these numbers in mind. So it's basically a base of 1 multiplying to itself 3 times. 1 is generally easy, right? But 2 raised to the third power, that's the same as saying 2 times 2 times 2. That's where it's 8. It's not 6. It is 8. All right, 3 to the third power is 27, and you can see the remainder, which I took all the way up to 10 to the third power. So as you guys are coming in, go ahead and tap away. You know, we're going to get ourselves started after we get our first 1K. And again, we have basically exactly 1 hour. So I got to get all this stuff done in 1 hour. So it's going to be nice and quick. So let's see who is here. Let me say today is the 10th of July. Like it is flying. Before you know it, it's time to start right back up. All right. So, hey Janice, how are you? Thank you for liking the lives. Let's see who else is here. Alexis, how are you? Hopefully you got my message. I don't know when I send it, but I did send it. Hello, Robert. How are you? Hello, Chantel. Welcome on in, everyone. Welcome on in. I'm very tired. Did another all-nighter, but we're getting close. We're getting close to stuff. All right. And then, okay, awesome. Yes. Okay. Right? And I think it's the weather too. It's a combination of that. It's not as humid, but still, like it's so dreary around here. So I think after this, I'm going to see if I can sneak in a nap. Because from 3:30 all the way until the end of our next live this evening, I'm just going to be back to back, which I am not complaining. So while you guys are sitting here tapping up, let's see if we can get to that 1K so we can get started, right? I remember when we were kids, we never wanted to take naps. Now I'm older, I'm like, shoot, let me curl up and take that little nappity nap. Because I don't know about this, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. I'm telling you, it's funny how 5 minutes, even if you get like 5 to 10 minutes, like a quick nap, you'll feel so rejuvenated than a full night's of sleep. I don't know what it is. Someone could probably educate me with the whole kinesthetics about that, but here we go. All right, so while you guys are tapping, all right, I want to fill up my July. I definitely have, right now, I have 20 slots open because I got a couple people from last night, and I'm probably going to get a couple more. So if you are taking a college algebra class or you're doing college, like those intermediate courses, I think it's like the 82s and the 81s or something like that. Or if you have a child that has to do a math summer reading packet, okay, dig that bad boy up out of the book bag, right? Or if maybe you're doing some kind of prep class, maybe you're doing GED prep, or maybe you're doing an ASVAB prep, and your ASVAB and GED is right around the corner, and you just want someone to do some tutoring, not so much a program, but more so like, you know what, I would love to get some clarification. I am doing my tutoring session, so right now, just for the month of July, July will be over. I mean, it's the 10th right now. So I normally charge $87 for my sessions. Yes, and I'm worth every penny and probably more. But I'm going to do it just for a TikTok special at $47 for one-to-ones. And if we do a pairing, which is like 2 students at 1 hour, there's going to be $47 per person. But if it is like 3 to 5, like a small group, I'm doing like $37 per person, okay? And I know some of you guys are probably saying, well, I can do tutoring free at my college. I'm like, how's that going? How'd you do in your midterm? Because you guys keep DMing me saying that I failed my midterm, Miss Audrey, I need help. But you keep going back to the person that doesn't really help you break down concepts. It's crazy, but here we go. All right, so we're going to be working on content. You share the content with me. I break it down for you, and then you watch your grades improve. All right, so definitely message me if you're wanting to do it. Go ahead and jump at the chance, because once August 1st hits, my scores or my prices are definitely going to go right back up. All right, so here we go. So if anything, we're looking at the sum and the differences of cubes. So when we're talking about the cubes, it's something like, let me show you through examples. I think that'll be so much better. So when you have x cubed plus 125, since we're adding these, we're basically going to find a way to factor it. So since it is addition, we're looking at the sum of cubes. So we're looking at our 2 singular values, which we're going to call a and b, and then we're going to manipulate those a's and b's to fill the other parenthesis, which is going to be a squared minus the ab, that means a times b, plus my b squared. So we need to figure out what a and b is. So the only way we can figure out what a is, which will be this first term, we're going to take what's called the cube root of what they gave us. Okay? Now, when we were talking about squares and square roots, they're inverses of each other. So there is something called a cube root. And it's probably some of you guys are like, whoa, this is the very first time that I've ever seen this. Well, here we are, okay? So the inverse of a cube is a cube root. Notice, unlike the square root, we have what's called an index. This index will tell you what type of root this radical is. Now, if you don't see anything, it's automatically a square root. There is no such thing as a 1 root. You can look, but you'll be like looking for the Holy Grail times infinity, okay? It's just not going to be there. So this index will tell you what type of root that we're dealing with. So I know sometimes you probably see it on your calculator. If you're using your iPhone, there's usually a 2 here just to indicate to a square root, or a 3 will be here to indicate cube root. So you're going to find the cube root of x cubed, as well as you're going to find the cube root of 125. Now, we understand the squares more so than the cubes. That's why I kind of put this up here. So if you want to take a screenshot of this so you don't have to keep going back and forth, you can go ahead and do that. Okay? All right? If you want to take a nap, Janice, you can take a nap. Be doing this anymore, okay? Oh, congratulations, Tillman. Tillman passed her GED with the social studies. Good job. All right. All right. Good job. Congrats. Okay. All right. I'll definitely see you tonight. Yeah. All right. So, cubes and cube roots, they cancel each other out. So that's going to leave me with an x. Okay. the cube root of 125, I'm going to look over here on the end to see where's 125. Here's 125. So the cube root of 125 is going to be whatever the base is. And the base is 5. And how I know that? 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 gives me 25. 25 times 5 gives me 125. So what you just found was actually the A that we're going to use to substitute into the formula, and we found the B that we're going to use to substitute in the formula. All right. So knowing this information, we're going to set up, and I'm going to slide it over here. We're going to set up the equation that you're going to use. So it's A plus B. The reason why we're using plus, because my original had a plus sign. So we're using the sum of cubes. The rest of the formula goes my A squared minus my AB plus my B squared. All right. So all we're doing is substituting the X for the A. Bring down my plus sign and substitute the 5 for the B. So we're going to follow along. So anytime you see an A, you're going to put an X. Every time you see a B, you're going to put a 5. So now they're saying they want us to square the A. If the A is an X, that means we're dealing with X squared. Bring down the minus sign. Now we have AB. So if the A is the X and the B is the 5, we're going to multiply X and 5, which will give me 5X. We always put the coefficient in front of the variable. Okay, so that doesn't derail anything. Bring down our plus sign. Now they want us to square our B. Well, our B is 5. So 5 squared, that gives me 25. All right. That is the sum of cubes. This is your answer. And you're probably like, Audrey, we can break down that second parenthesis. Can you? Think about it. What two numbers multiplied together will give me a positive 25 and add together to give me a negative 5? Only way to get 25 is either 1 and 25 or 5 and 5. Neither of them, regardless if you do or both negatives, is not going to give me a negative 5. Okay? So that's your answer. That's your sum of cubes. This is a 4-point question on the GED. This is a high-stake question on the ASVAB, and also a good indicator to push you into college algebra for the AccuPlacer. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go slow with the next one. So since we saw sum, let me show you difference. So we have x cubed minus 27. We'll start there. Okay. x cubed minus 27. So like we said, take a look. Since that was a minus sign, that means we're looking at the difference of cubes. How do I know I'm looking at cubes? Well, my leading exponent, or my highest degree, is a 3. So that means I'm dealing with cubes here. So in order for me to figure out what my a and my b is when I plug it into the formula, is I need to do the cube root of x to the third, and I need to do the cube root of 27. Okay. Cubes and cube roots, they're inverses of each other. So since they're inverses of each other, these two things are going to cancel out, leaving me with x. Now I got the cube root of 27. I'm going to put my minus sign down. So taking a look at my list, 27, here's 27. So that means the cube root of 27 is going to be my base here, which is 3. Okay, so we're talking about 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 9 times 3 gives me 27. So what you just found was your A that we're going to use in the formula and your B that we're going to use in the formula. Okay, so if you have to break down functions that is larger than the usual squares, that's what we got to do. That's why we're doing it. Hello, Selena. How are you? All right. So since we're using the difference of cubes, that means that first parenthesis is going to be your A minus your B. And the remaining parenthesis looks very similar to the sum, but the only thing is these two, this positive and this negative, they switch. Okay, so if I'm making this negative, that means we have a squared, but this will be plus ab plus b squared. Okay, so the formulas for the two are very similar. If there's a plus in the original, that means you should have a plus in the first parenthesis. If there's a minus in the original, that means you should start with a minus in the first parenthesis. So if there's a minus in the first parenthesis, the second parenthesis is all addition. If there's a plus in the first parenthesis, that means in between the first term and the second term should be a minus sign. All right. So now, once you know what A and B is, you're just plugging it into your formula here. So in this case, my A is going to be my X. So I got a parenthesis X minus my B, which is 3. So this is your A and this is your B. So now we're going to plug that information in to the second parenthesis. So we are looking for my A squared. My A is now X. So we're looking at X squared. Bring down the plus sign. Now we have AB. AB means A times B. If my A is X and my B is 3, okay, it's still going to be 3. When you multiply those, that gives you 3x. Remember, the coefficient always goes before the variable. And then plus my b squared. So remember, my b is 3. So 3 squared, that's 3 times 3, which gives me 9. Okay. Hello, Sasha. Okay. Fraction operations. Okay, Selena. All right, I gotcha. If anything, we might do some more fraction stuff next time. Because I like to mix it up. So some a little bit with the 4-point type questions, and then some with like the 1s and 2s. Okay? Wow. Sorry. Have to keep the fan on. It's a little muggy today. Okay. All right. All right. So let's try a couple more before I advance up. Okay. So if you got that one, I'm gonna slide this one over here. Multiply the AB with that. Does it make it? No, it's the B is just the 3. The minus sign is just reminding me that I'm doing the difference. So your B here, whoops, is just going to be 3. Your A is X and your B is 3. Okay, so it's not a -3, it's a +3. The minus sign is just telling me that I'm doing the difference of cubes. Okay. Okay, watching and learning? All right, cool. Nice. All right. That confused you? Okay. All right. So now, let me confuse you even more. So, in this case, I know it's kind of flipped around, but you can still flip it in this case. You're still doing the difference of cubes. Right now, we got our 125, and then we have minus our x cubed. So since this is going to be presented in a reverse way, we're going to do it in a reverse way. So we're still going to do the cube root of 125, because we kind of did this already. And then we're still going to do the cube root of x to the 3rd. All right, this time I won't put the minus sign because I think that was confusing people. I'm sorry. All right, so if I did the cube root of 125, and we've already did that. Remember, 125 gave us 5. So this will be 5. Then the cube root of x cubed. Remember, cubes and cube roots, they're inverses of each other. They're opposite. So we can make that x. So you're probably saying, well, Audrey, like, do I just make the 5 my A and the x my B? Yes, you do. That's all it is. All right, well, thank you. So this, let me put my... This will be my A. This will be my B. And since we are subtracting, that means we're going to be using the difference of cubes. And the formula for difference of cubes is my A minus my B. That means my second parenthesis is nothing but addition. So that'll be a squared plus AB plus B squared. Let me shrink that down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now all we're doing is just replacing. Okay, that's all we're doing. So my A is going to be 5. So where I see my A, I'm going to put a 5. My B is my X. So we got our minus X. So anytime I see an A, I should be thinking of 5s. So A squared is the equivalent of 5 squared. And 5 squared gives me 25. Plus, multiply my A and my B. My A is 5, my B is X, so we still have our 5X. And my B squared, so my B is X, and I'm squaring it, that will give me an X squared. And that's your answer. Yep, that's it, Selena. Like, once you figure out the formula, once you kind of identify with the formula a little bit, it'll be fine. That's confusing. Is it because they're reversed? I'm trying to see. Is that M. Sarah? Sarah Walk? Okay, of course. I'll definitely do another one. Yeah, I'll do one similar to this. I think that would be best before I step it up. All right, make sure you guys are tapping. Let's get to 10. We should be at 10 by now. Not to be all stingy or anything because of me. I know everyone's like, I'm trying to do the work, Audrey. I can't do the work and tap at the same time. It's got to be one or the other. I get it. Okay. With just formulas. But here's the thing, because I'm thinking about, I'm doing the extension. So if I do with formulas, I know there's going to be certain formulas I'm going to miss because some algebra people do certain formulas, some others, so it gets crazy. Okay. I've already answered this, but how often do you go live? Oh, I don't think I did answer it. So Vienna, I go live every day. You've been tapping like crazy. She's like, I'm getting a cramp, girl. I go live every day. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, I go at 1 o'clock. And Monday through Thursday, I'm at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all these. And Saturday, Sunday, I changed it to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the next, let's say 3 or 4 weeks, that's probably going to change back to 9:30 as well. I know, it's crazy. And you're like, oh my God, mi gente! Hola! Where have you been? Yes. All right. So we're saying A plus 4. Okay, Eddie. Traveling. Oh, sweet. Good. Matter if it's addition or subtraction. It does matter. It does matter. Always look at what they're giving you. Okay, so the last time they were giving the subtraction, so that was, we used the formula for the difference of the cubes. But this time, they're giving us addition. Okay. Hey, Big Al. What we got? Why are you putting A and B if it's not the original poem? Yes, trust me, I get it. It's not a crazy question, not at all. It's just how they have the formula set up, and they just wanted to keep it as neutral because it can be any variable. So they just use A and B since it's the start of the alphabet. Yeah, so it's not a crazy question. That's actually a good question. Like, where's this stuff coming from? All right. So I'm seeing, which is awesome, that cube root of a to the third and that cube root of 64. In this case, it is an A, so it doesn't really disrupt too much. And this one, it is a 4 because 4, if I go up here to 64, got into my base of 4. So 4 multiplied by itself 3 times will give me my 64. So since we're using the sum of the cubes, okay, we are basically looking at my A plus B. And since this first parenthesis is going to be addition, that means we have A squared minus AB plus B squared. Yes, it is. Sum of cubes. All right. So what you found down here, well, A is going to be your A. Duh. Right? But the 4 is going to be your B when you substitute into the formula. All right, when you think you got your answer, go ahead and put it in the chat. Thank you so much for the follow, guys, and the loves and the gifts. Thank you. If I didn't say thank you earlier, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Madness Rod. All right, what do you guys think? Substitute A for the A's and B for the B's. Okay. Under pre-calc? No. It's basically Algebra 2. We see it in Algebra 2. I mean, you also see it in pre-calc, but it's really introduced, I think, in Algebra 2. Or one of those bridge classes. Like some schools have bridge classes to Algebra 2 for like students that's not quite there. Yep. All right. So now that we got our A and our B, we're going to plug in. So our A is A, and our B is the 4 that we got. So anytime I see an A, I'm going to substitute it. So A squared, since it's already an A, we got our A squared. Minus my A times B. Well, my A is A, my B is 4, so what's 4 times A? That gives me 4A. Then my B squared, so my B is 4, so 4 squared gives us 16. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so user 1, not your homie. Let's correct that real quick. All right. All right. So that's the thing. Okay, you see your mistake? Awesome. That means you're learning it. That's good. You know, just always figure out what our adjustments are. So now this is going to be a combination. Remember, this is basically the section for people that are like, math is my relationship with math is either I hate it or I'm okay with it. So it's really a place for people that are trying to prepare for, their GED, ASVAB, maybe intermediate algebra classes, maybe even college algebra classes. So, if this is really too easy for you, thank you for coming in. You can go ahead and scroll. I love it. Maybe we might see each other on the flip side. But if you're just like, what? Let me just kind of hang out and veg a little bit. You're more than welcome to do that. Okay? All right. You got your first answer right? Good job. All right. So let's take a look. All right. So now, before I get to the next one, let's see if there's 100 of us right here. So let's see if we can tap up to at least 15. Okay, remember, I'm only going to be here for, now it's a half an hour. So we got a half an hour left. Yep, there is a flip side. Of course there is. We got to advance it up. All right. So go ahead, tap, mad taps. You guys all right? I know some people are like, I've been tapping the whole time. I'm like, all right, well, everyone else, pick up. We can do it. Let's see if we can get to 14. We're at 12.6. We got this. And then I will set up for the next one. All right, thank you. Almost there. Okay. So as you guys are here, if you do feel like you're getting stuck or you're starting to feel overwhelmed, please let me know. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. Okay? Too slow doesn't count, but too fast, that does, If you need clarification on anything, please say it. All right, perfect. Okay, so now this time we have 8x cubed. Everyone's like, whoa, there's a number in front. I'm like, that's fine. Plus 27. Okay, we are going to do the same exact steps. So let me ask you, are we looking at sum or difference of cubes? Which ones? Put it in the chat. Are we doing sum or difference of cubes? Do I do one-to-one tutoring? Yes, I do. Just go ahead and message me and I'll get back with you. Okay, good. Jimmy Dean, how are you? Haven't seen you in a minute too. Big Al, sum. Good. Selena, sum. Yes. Guys saying it's 2x plus 3. Ooh, is she right? All right. DM saying sum. Pog is saying 2x and 3. Oh, Marvin, hello. Sum. How are you? Okay. So we are doing the sum. So first thing we need to do is we need to find the cube root of 8x to the third and find the cube root of 27. So the cube root of 8. So if you recall, I'm going to try to squeeze it over here. Of course, I'm going to be adding cubes into my next series of books. We have 2 to the third power. If I did the cube root of 8, I get that base of 2. So that's where people are getting the 2 from, because the cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 gives me 4. 4 times 2 gives me 8. Now, x to the third. So the cube root of a cube, they cancel out, which will leave me with my x. Okay? Not my x. You can go kick rocks, but you know what I'm saying. All right? So, the cube root of 27. So we're going back to our list. We go to 27. the base is going to be 3. So that means 3 times 3 gives me 9. 9 times 3 gives me that 27. So we have 3. What you just found is what's going to represent your A, which is that entire expression, 2x. And what's going to represent our B, which is the 3. So since this is the sum, that means we're looking at A plus B. And then what happens is we have A squared minus AB plus B squared. All right. Not my X. Nope. Nope, no. Where 5 squared comes from? There isn't a 5 squared. Okay. Try again, Mimi. There's no 5 squared. All right. So now we have our A's, we have our B's. So that means in the first parenthesis, I should write what? Okay. I should write what? Yes, this is an arrow. It's not a 5, it's an arrow. Okay. Thank you, Neda. All right. So yes, we got 2x plus 3. There we go. 2x plus 3. 2x plus... Big L switching that over to 3. 2x plus 3. Good. 2x plus 3. 2x plus 3. 2x plus 3. JC math. 5 plus 5? Okay. These are arrows. They're arrows, guys. They're arrows. Okay, 2x plus 3. There we go. 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3. Okay. All right. So, since my 2x is my A, so we write our 2x here. Our 3 is our B, so it'll be plus 3. So now, in my second parenthesis, okay, in that second parenthesis, we have our A squared. Our A is the 2x. So, what is 2x squared? Put that in the chat. What is 2x squared? Okay, Selena's saying 2x raised to the second power. Okay. Thanks for coming in, everyone. Okay, Marvin's saying 4x squared minus 6x plus 9 as his answer. Okay. Selena's saying maybe wrong. Okay. Okay, so Nia's saying 4x squared. Okay, we just need the square, Tillman. We got that 4x down. Big Al's saying 4x squared. Okay, so was Alize saying 4x. Don't forget about the square. Okay, is it Kafer? It's like 4x squared. Okay, when you're doing the square, this is what's happening. You're taking your 2x, that's your A, and you're squaring it. So that means you're squaring the 2 and the x. So when you square the 2, 2 times 2, or 2 to the second power, give me 4, and x to the second power. Okay. Yes, do not forget the square. Okay. You see it now? So you have to square this. Now, minus my AB. AB means A times B. So what's 2x times 3? Okay. Well, Janine, you're always welcome here. We're going to break concepts down. All right, Shay saying 6x, Ohio saying 6x, Marvin saying 6x, Danny 6x, Tay is saying 6x. Yes, because 2x times 3, that gives us our 6x. And now bring down the plus sign, and now we're going to square our b. If our b is 3, we're going to square it. Okay. So that gives us, yes. There you go, Big Al. There you go. You already said it earlier, but I got you. Praise you again, Marvin. Okay, Ohio's 9. Yes, Shay 9. Selena 9. Tay 9. JC Math 9. Good. So it'll be our plus 9. And I know someone's going to say, oh, Audrey, look, we got squares. We could probably break that down even further. You know, we could do with a 2 and a 2. I'm like, okay. And then the 9 could be a 3 and a 3. Uh-huh. But 2 times 3 gives me 6. 2 times 3 also gives me 6. If I add those two together, I'm not going to get a negative 6. So it's great that you're seeing it, because I'm psychic. I felt the vibe. Okay. All right. So it's great that you're seeing it, to recognize it, to see if, oh, maybe I can break it down further. But if I try to break it down with the 2 and the 3, both of them will give me 6. 2 and 3, 6. So that will give me 12x. But we don't have a 12x. We got a negative 6x. So this is your final answer. Okay? See? Look at you. Didn't think you guys will remember. All right. So let's try. We probably have enough time for 2 more. Let's see. Ooh. Let me do this one to ya. You're probably like, what? Evil woman. Yep. Okay. Don't freak out. All right, you're freaking out. I wanted to try this one. Okay. But you named yourself JC Math? You're like, I'm not good at math anymore, but you named yourself JC Math. You're probably good at math. Stop it. Good brain food. There you go. Is this Algebra 2? Yes, it is. Okay. So Pog is saying negative 3u and 5. Okay. No problem. Like, don't run away. We're just going to go through stuff step by step. All right, I'm just giving you a little time to absorb. Let's see. And see if we can get our very first parenthesis. So Ohio's saying negative 3u plus 5. What does u mean again? Well, this, we're using it as a variable. Okay, we're using the u as a variable. It's the same as x, yes. Yep, you can use almost any letter in the alphabet except for E and I, because they're numbers. Well, you do name yourself Math. What are you supposed to do? Your husband's initials? Oh, okay. Well, we're not solving. All we're doing is factoring. Okay, so we're not solving for you. We're just factoring. Oh, makes sense. You're probably so sick and tired of explaining that every time, aren't you? I'm so sorry. I like it. Yep, we are factoring. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. Now, we're going back into your journeys of factoring way, way, way back in time. We used to say that you cannot have a negative underneath a square root because that will give you a complex number. Remember the letter I with the square root of -1? If not, it did exist. But we're not talking about square roots. We're talking about cube roots. So you can have a negative underneath a cube root. Because we know the 27 is going to be 3. We know this because we already did it earlier up here, right? But since it's going to be a negative, that means it's going to be a -3. Oops. Is my pen about to die? What? Resuscitate. I think it is. Wow. I hit the end. Wore the pen out. Okay? Because if you think about it, and I'll put it up here. If we have -3 times -3 times -3. If I group the first two, that's going to give me a +9. Because a negative times a negative gives me a positive. But when I multiply that 9 with the -3, that's where the -27 is going to come in. Okay? So cube roots, you can have negatives underneath their radicals or roots. Square roots, no. If so, you're going to be dealing with complex numbers. So now, the cube and the cube root, they're opposites or inverses of each other. So they will cancel to bring down u. Okay. All right. So now we have our 125. We've done 125 so many times already, right? You're like, give me something new, Audrey. All right. So the cube root of 125, that will give us our 5. So what you just found is the A. I'm going to try to make it into an arrow. All right, so this is your A. And then this is your B. All right. So now we take a look, we're looking at sum. Okay, so there's a plus sign. So we're looking at sum. So that means we have our A plus our B times A squared minus AB plus B squared. Okay, I write it out every time until I have it memorized. Okay, I know it may be an extra step, but it's a step that's going to be worth it. So we're saying that -3u is going to be our A, and then plus our B, which is 5. All right. Now, we're going to do the A squared. So that means we have -3u being squared. What would that give me? So -3u squared. What would this give me? 25 will be the one for the B. We're not there yet. There we go. Okay, so 9u squared. Good. 9u squared, 9u squared, 9u squared. Don't forget to square. Good. 9 9u squared. There we go. That's right. That's in there. Kiki, you got a positive 9. Yes, but don't forget the u squared. All right, Selena. So since we have a negative 3, this is actually saying negative 3 times negative 3. And negative times a negative, that will give you your positive 9. Okay, there you go. So it's a positive u squared. Yes. All right, so we have a positive 9u squared. Okay, because a negative times a negative gives me a positive, and then raising u to the second power, that's u squared. Bring down the minus sign. Now we're going to multiply my a and my b. Here's my a and my b. So what's negative 3u times 5? What do we got? Okay, Big Al saying negative 15u. Okay, Key saying negative 15. Don't forget the u, guys. Don't forget the u's. Okay, Ohio's 15. Remember, 3 is negative, 5 is positive. All right, so we got the negative 15u. Careful. Is that alveol? Alveol. Okay, so negative 15u. Robert, good. Marvin, negative 15u. Steven, don't forget the negative because the 3 is negative. All right, negative 15u, negative 15u. Typo, thank you. Negative 15u, there we go. So we got our negative and we bring down our 15u. Now, bring down the plus. Now let's square our b. Everybody was so happy to give me this answer. Okay, everyone's like, yes. There you go, Big Al. He's like, I've been waiting. 25 is good. Misunderstood. All right. Understood, miss. Good. 25 so far. No problem, Steven. Good, Cookie. How are you, Cookie? DM, good. 25. Big Al. All right. And this will be your answer. All right. Oh, wait, hold on. Whoa. One moment. Just had a brain fart. This should be positive. You guys were right. I lied. Because when I multiply the a and the b, I got negative 15u. But it's going in when the formula is already negative. So a negative times a negative, that will make it positive. And my negative 3 is going to take over that negative 27. Yes. Yep. Okay, so people that said positive 15u, I apologize. You were correct. Okay, you were correct. Do I do calculus 2? No, I do not. But there's a gentleman here off of Main Street tutoring. His name is Robert. Robert, did you see it in the chat? Go and chit chat. He's my go-to person for calculus. Yeah, okay. You're just waiting for the correction. I appreciate that. Oh, you're making me do self-discovery. Thank you. I was like, wait, hold on. Why does this not feel right? My spirit's like, no. All right, yes. So that is definitely going to be a positive 15. Yep, and everything is going to be right as rain. Cool. All right, one more, and then we're going to have to shut the doors. Lock them in. All right. So, of course, it's going to be a little more. Just a little extra. Just a tad. Let's see what you can do. I'm not going to make it too crazy. Just crazy enough to add a little spice to your life. Okay. There you go. You're back in school? All right. I love it. All right. Thank you, John. I know. It's always the famous question. And it's always the people that ask it are the ones that were extremely traumatized when you were a kid trying to learn math, and it just seemed like there was no one that was going to help you, and you muttered on through. And it's just so easy just for us to dismiss something. It's that whole fight or flight type thing. It's so amazing with psychology, you know? Because I was the same way. So this is the reason why I know, because I went through the whole same thing. Fractions, nope, wasn't going to do that. Word problems, hell no. Wasn't doing any of that. I'd rather take the O. I'd rather take the 0. Not doing it. I was the same exact way until one day I was an instructional assistant. I was 25 years old. I'm sitting in the classroom. Instructional assistant was like, I think they call them para-educators now. And I was sitting in the class, and this lady had a class of like 43 kids in there, and young men and young women. So sorry. And she just said, guys, fractions is nothing but division. And I looked at her like she was crazy, and all of a sudden I'm like, are you serious? It just clicked. 25 years old. That's when it clicked. Ever since then, I've just been like building my math knowledge piece by piece. And then, of course, I wanted to teach it like some sick and twisted person. And next thing you know, like I exposed myself to more different types of math, different types of ways, and seeing how different teachers teach it. It's just, it's crazy. It's amazeballs, right? Or it's too complicated for them. You know what? If you ever put this stuff into ChatGPT, because I know some people will, they do errors. They're not always correct. They are not always correct. Like if you find an error and you type it in and say, hey, that's wrong, they'll be like, oh, well, thanks for catching that. Really? You're AI. What am I doing? So it's crazy, right? So, but that's what happens. So that's why you can't solely rely on AI just yet, guys. It's nice for a tool. It's nice to help write your papers. It's nice to check your answers. But when you're unsure about something, definitely it's a great tool. But it's a tool, okay? It's not a replacement of you. It cannot replace human beings right now. It just can't. All right, so back to the math. All right, so we take a look at this. Somebody, I think it was Marvin. Was it Marvin? Anyone before Marvin? Nope, it was Marvin. Okay, so far, Marvin said that, hey, we have a GCF. So our GCF is X. So if I factor out that X, I'm going to get 8X cubed plus 1. So let's see. Both the 8x to the 4th and the x both have an x in common. So we pull that out. So when we pull it out, we're subtracting from the original. So if I had 4 x's and I pulled 1 x out, I got 3 x's left. If I have 1 x and I pulled 1 x out, I don't have anything left. So I need that 1 that's in front of that x to be represented. That's when it can show its face. Now, this X, I like to call the trifling ass friend, right? The one that always want to go somewhere, got no money, always come over your house, eat all your food, drink all your drink, and have the audacity to leave. A mess. Or going to the movies, never have a ticket. They're the ones that are always sneaking in and you're trying to cover for them. You know, that friend. Okay? So this person's going to go along for the ride. But inside this parenthesis, notice my highest degree is to the 3rd power. So I'm looking at 8 and I'm looking at 1 and I'm like, ooh, there's cubes going on right here. So since it is a plus sign, are we doing sum or are we doing difference? You can put chat. Okay, so we got our sums. Good, we got our sums. So just like, because we did this similar, we're going to take that cube root of 8x to the third power. And then we're also going to take the cube root of 1. The cube root of 8, as we recall, here's my 8, base is 2. So this gives me a 2. Cubes and cube roots, they cancel each other out. So that's where the x is coming from. And then the cube root of 1 is just 1. Okay, good. All right. Hey, Leanne, how are you? Okay. So since we're looking at sum, this right here, this is going to be your A. I'm so glad I bought pens today. I didn't know this was going to happen. And then right here is your B. All right. So for people that are just coming in and they're like, I am so lost. Well, give me a few, maybe a couple hours as I download this, because sometimes TikTok takes a while. Go here, type in or search this, and you'll see a playlist of all of my lives. Okay, everything from February the 2nd of this year. Okay, so that's a lot of lives. You know, I told you I basically go on twice a day. It's crazy. All right, during the school year, it will be backing down to 1. I'm just going to let you know that right here, right now. All right, but for the most part, you know, you can come here and you'll be able to see the replay and be able to just follow along. Okay, and watching me. All right, so since this is a sum, that means we're using that sum formula. All right, gotta pick this up. So I got my A plus my B. Then we have our A squared minus AB plus B squared. So that's the formula for the sum of cubes. How do I know it's a sum? Because we're starting off with an addition sign. So since this is my A and this is my B, that first parenthesis is going to be 2x plus 1. Now, what do I get when I square my A? What do I get when I square this 2x? What is it? What is it that I get? Okay, good, Marvin. Thank you. So we square the 2. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. And we square the x, which gives me x squared. All right. Minus my AB. AB means A times B. So that means 2x times 1. So that'll be a minus 2x. And then we're going to square our B. And our B is 1, so that would be plus 1. Because 1 squared is just 1. And this is your final answer. Okay. All right. Yeah, don't forget to square it, Tillman. All right. So that is the sum and the difference of cubes. I think the hardest part is the identifying your cubes. So we're so used to dealing with squares, that means when all of a sudden we have to get ourselves involved in cubes, that's when it gets a little hairy. So If you like how my notebook was set up, I actually designed this, okay? So you can have your formulas there, you can have your steps here, and actually do some work on both sides of your paper. So this is called the Ultimate Math Notebook. And in addition to these things, I have some resources in the back. One is a factor sheet. So factor sheets goes to 1 to 200. And then we also have our rules of integers. We have our order of operations, properties of exponents, some linear and quadratic equations, so you can keep track of that. Properties of transformation, if you're doing a little geometry. Then we have arc length and arc area of the sector, volume, surface area, area and perimeter of different most used shapes. Then we have Pythagorean's theorem, SOHCAHTOA, and some other trig identities for my advanced pre-calc kids. And the unit circle, which is also for my Algebra 2 and to pre-calc, and maybe even parts of geometry too, okay? Depending on how deep your teacher gets to. All right, so this is available. If you want those, great. Trying to see if this person's here yet. Okay, there. All right, so if anything, we definitely want to get ourselves situated. I will be back tonight. We're going to be doing direct variation, aka slope. We're going to try to look at it algebraically, graphically, and numerically. Maybe verbally, but I'm going to see what I can do. But if I can get those three and taking a look at the direct variations, like how things vary from X to Y, we're going to actually take a look at those. Okay? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. I'll be here at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I got to get going. All right? I'll talk to you soon. And if you need me, go ahead and message me. Do not wait. Reserve your spot. All right. Bye.